How to be a bit happier than Schopenhauer. For Arthur Schopenhauer, the depressive's favorite philosopher, and one who influenced Nietzsche, Freud, and Einstein in varying but significant ways, life was the pursuit of futile purposes. Quote, "We blow out a soap bubble as long and as large as possible, although with the perfect certainty that it will burst." End quote. In this view, happiness is impossible because of all these goals. Goals are the source of misery. An unattained goal causes pain, but actually achieving it brings only a brief satisfaction. In fact, if you really think about it, a life made of goals is going to be disappointing. Yes, it might propel you forward, keeping you turning the pages of your own existence, but ultimately, it will leave you empty. Because even if you achieve your goals, what then? You may have gained the thing you lacked, but with it, what then? You either set another goal, stress about how you keep the thing you attained, or you think, along with the millions of people having mid, or early or late life crises right now, this is everything I wanted, so why am I not happy? So what was Schopenhauer's answer? Well, if wanting things was the problem, the answer had to be in giving things up. In his language, the cause of suffering is intensity of will. Schopenhauer believed that by seeing the bigger picture, by viewing humanity as a whole and its suffering as a whole, a person would turn away from life and deny their instincts. In other words, the Schopenhauer plan involves no sex, very little money, fasting, and a fair bit of self-torture. Only that way, by totally denying human will, can we see the truth that in front of us, there is certainly only nothingness. Bleak, huh? Well, yes, although Schopenhauer didn't recommend suicide, he recommended a kind of living suicide in which anything pleasurable had to be scorned. But Schopenhauer was a major hypocrite. He talked the talk, but couldn't walk the walk. As Bertrand Russell explained in his History of Western Philosophy, he habitually dined well at a good restaurant. He had many trivial love affairs, which were sensual but not passionate. He was exceedingly quarrelsome and unusually avaricious. On one occasion, he was annoyed by an elderly seamstress who was talking to a friend outside the door of his apartment. He threw her downstairs, causing her permanent injury. It is hard to find in his life any virtue except kindness to animals. In all other respects, he was completely selfish. Schopenhauer, the ultimate pessimist, actually illustrates how unhappiness works. His work set out an anti-goal goals that he couldn't meet. Now, I don't endorse throwing old women downstairs, but I kind of warm to Schopenhauer. I think he recognized the problem, will or desire of ego, or goal-oriented drive, or whichever historical term you want to use. But in life he grappled around in the dark, often literally, given his messy love life. So what's the way out? How do you stop the endless wanting and worrying? How do you get off the treadmill? How do you stop time? How do we stop exhausting ourselves worrying about the future? The best answers, the answers that have been written and recorded for thousands of years, always seem to revolve around acceptance. Schopenhauer himself was greatly influenced by an ancient Eastern philosophy. The truth has been recognized by the sages of India, he said. Indeed, his belief that abstinence from worldly pleasures is the answer to life is something he shares with a lot of Buddhist thinkers. But Buddhist thought is not as negative or miserable as Schopenhauer. With Schopenhauer, all this asceticism is a bit self-punishing, a bit full of self-loathing, which is unhealthy and counterproductive. A world full of people hating themselves is not a happy world. Buddhism does not seem to be about self-punishment. A key Buddhist symbol is that of the lotus flower. The lotus flower grows in mud at the bottom of a pool, but rises above the murky water and blooms in the clear air, pure and beautiful, before eventually dying. This metaphor for spiritual enlightenment also works as a metaphor for hope and change. The mud you could see as depression or anxiety. The flowers in the clear air, the self we know we can be, unclogged by despair. Indeed, a lot of the Dhammapada, chief among the Buddhist sacred texts, being a record of the Gautama Buddhist teachings, reads like an early self-help book. No one saves us but ourselves. No one can, and no one may. In Buddhism, salvation is something that is not external. To be happy and at peace, Buddhism says we have to be vigilant, aware of ourselves, mindful. As rain breaks through an ill-thatched house, passion in the sense of suffering will break through an unreflecting mind. In a world with far more shiny distractions than the world of Himalayan India, way over 2,000 years ago, our metaphorical mental houses may be harder to thatch than ever before. Our minds now are less like thatched houses and a bit like computers. Yes, I could in theory get on my computer, open a Word document, and just write. But I would probably check Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the Guardian website. I might, if I am going through a neurotic patch, do a quick ego search, or check out any new good reads, or Amazon reviews of my books, or go on Google and type in a list of real or imaginary ailments to see which terminal disease I am currently suffering from. Even Buddha himself would struggle these days, though the lack of Wi-Fi in the Himalayan foothills would be a blessing if you wanted to meditate for 49 days under a tree. One thing I do understand, though, is that more is not better. I am not a Buddhist. I find all strict and certain guidelines too scary. Life is beautiful in its ambiguity, but I like the idea of being alert to ourselves, of connecting to the universal rather than living life on a seesaw of hope and fear. For me personally, happiness isn't about abandoning the world of stuff, but in appreciating it for what it is. We cannot save ourselves from suffering by buying an iPhone. That doesn't mean we shouldn't buy one, it just means we should know such things are not ends in themselves. And compassion, that's another thing I like about Buddhism. The idea that kindness makes us happier than selfishness. That kindness is a shredding of the self, or in Schopenhauer speak, will that releases from the suffering that is our desires and wants. To be selfless while being mindful seems to be a good solution when the self intensifies and causes us to suffer. Being good feels good because it makes us remember that we are not the only person that matters in this world. We all matter because we are all alive. And so kindness is an active way in which we can see and feel the bigger picture. We are ultimately all the same thing. We are life. We are consciousness. And so by feeling part of humanity rather than an isolated unit, we feel better. We might physically perish, like a cell in a body might perish, but the body of life continues. And so, in the sense that life is a shared experience, we continue. Self-help. How to stop time. Kiss. How to travel in time. Read. How to escape time. Music. How to feel time. Write. How to release time. Breathe. Thoughts on time. Time troubles us. It is because of time that we grow old, and because of time we die. These are worrying things. As Aristotle put it, time crumbles things. And we are scared of our own crumbling, and the crumbling of others. We feel an urgency to get on because time is short. To just do it, as Nike said. But is doing the answer, or does doing actually speed up time? Wouldn't it be better just to be, even if less sporty footwear ends up being sold? Time does go at different speeds. As I've said, the few months in 1999 and 2000, when I was deeply ill, felt like years, decades even. Pain lengthens time. But that is only because pain forces us to be aware of it. Being aware of other things also helps lengthen time. This is all meditation is. Awareness of ourselves in the amber of the moment, to use Kurt Vonnegut's term. It sounds easy, but how much of our lives are we actually living in the present? How much instead are we either excited or worrying about the future, or regretting or mourning the past? Our response to all this worry about time is to try and achieve things before it is too late. Gain money, improve our status, marry, have children, get a promotion, gain more money, on and on forever. Or rather, not forever. If it were forever, we wouldn't be having this discussion. But we kind of know that turning life into a desperate race for more stuff is only going to shorten it. Not in years, not in the terms of actual time, but in terms of how time feels. Imagine all the time we had was bottled up, like wine, and handed over to us. How would we make that bottle last? By sipping slowly, appreciating the taste, or by gulping? Formentera. To the south of Ibiza, there is the small island of Formentera, fourth largest of the Balearic Islands. Me and Andrea used to go there sometimes on rare days off. It was a place of white beaches and pristine water, the cleanest in the whole Mediterranean, due to the UNESCO protected seagrasses under the water. It was the calming yin to Ibiza's frenetic yang. Its small population of 2,000 people is dotted liberally with artists, hippies, and yoga instructors. If you look at it on the map, you'll see it is shaped like an upside-down V, as if the island is continually in downward dog pose. It retained a 60s vibe. Bob Dylan spent some time living in the lighthouse at Cap de Barberia, on the island's southernmost tip. Formentera was also where Johnny Mitchell wrote the album Blue. I used to have a phobia about the Balearics. Couldn't face the idea of them, as it was on Ibiza that I began to fall apart. But now when I think of a calm place, I think of here. I picture its landscape of juniper and almond trees. I think of that sea as well, so bright and blue and clear. I think of the names of its small villages and harbor and beaches. Es Pujol, El Pilar de Mola, La Savina, Cap de Barberia, Playa Iletes. And most evocative of all, the name of the island itself. When I feel the tension rising, I sometimes close my eyes and think of it, the word rolling like soft, pristine salt water against the sand. Formentera, Formentera, Formentera. Images on a screen. In the old days, before the breakdown, I used to deal with worry by distracting myself. By going out to clubs, by drinking heavily, by spending summers in Ibiza, by wanting the spiciest food, the brashest movies, the edgiest novels, the loudest music, the latest nights. I was scared of the quiet. I was scared, I suppose, of having to slow down and soften the volume. Scared of having nothing but my own mind to listen to. But after I became ill, all of this was suddenly out of bounds. I once switched on the radio and heard pounding house music, and it gave me a panic attack. If I ate a jalfrezi, I would lie in bed that night hallucinating and palpitating. People talk about using alcohol and drugs to self-medicate, and I would have loved to dull my senses. I would have taken crack if I thought it would help me ignore the hurricane in my head. But from the age of 24 to 32, I didn't have so much as a single glass of wine. Not because I was strong, as my teetotal future mother-in-law always thought I was, but because I was petrified of anything that would alter my mind. I went 5 of those years refusing even to take an ibuprofen. Not because I had been drunk off my head when I first became ill. The day I became ill, I hadn't had so much of a sip of alcohol and was in a comparatively healthy patch. I suppose it was just that feeling that my damaged mind lay precariously in the balance, like the bus hanging off the edge of a cliff in the Italian Job, and that the gold/alcohol might look tempting, but to reach for it would be to send yourself falling toward a fatal end. So, this was the problem. Just when I really needed to take my mind off something, I couldn't. My fear was just such that even after smelling a glass of Andrea's red wine, I would imagine those inhaled molecules entering my brain and tilting it further away from me. But that was a good thing. It meant that I had to focus on my mind. Like in an old horror movie, I was pulling back the curtain and seeing the monster. Years later, I would read books on mindfulness and meditation and realize that the key to happiness, or that even more desired thing, calmness, lies not in always thinking happy thoughts. No, that is impossible. No mind on earth with any kind of intelligence could spend a lifetime enjoying only happy thoughts. The key is in accepting your thoughts, all of them, even the bad ones. Accept thoughts, but don't become them. Understand, for instance, that having a sad thought, even having a continual succession of sad thoughts, is not the same as being a sad person. You can walk through a storm and feel the wind, but you know you are not the wind. That is how we must be with our minds. We must allow ourselves to feel their gales and downpours, but all the time knowing that this is just necessary weather. When I sink deep now, and I still do from time to time, I try and understand that there is another, bigger and stronger part of me that is not sinking. It stands unwavering. It is, I suppose, the part that would have been once called my soul. We don't have to call it that if we think it has too many connotations. We can call it simply a self. Let's just understand this. If we are tired or hungry or hungover, we are likely to be in a bad mood. That bad mood is therefore not really us. To believe in the things we feel at that point is wrong, because those feelings would disappear with food or sleep. But when I was at my lowest points, I touched something solid, something hard and strong at the core of me, something imperishable, immune to the changeability of thought. The self that is not only I, but also we. The self that connects me to you and human to human. The hard, unbreakable force of survival, of life, of the 150,000 generations of us that have been gone before, and those of us yet to be born. Our human essence. Just as the ground below New York, in say Lagos, becomes identical if you go down far enough beneath the Earth's surface, so every human inhabitant on this freak wonder of a planet shares the same core. I am you and you are me. We are alone, but not alone. We are trapped by time, but also infinite. Made of flesh, but also stars. Smallness. I went back to visit my parents in Newark about a month ago. They don't live in the same house, but the street they are on is parallel to the street where we used to live. It is a 5-minute walk. The corner shop is still there. I walked there on my own and bought a newspaper and could happily wait for the shopkeeper to give me my change. The houses I passed were the same orange brick houses. Nothing much had changed. Nothing makes you feel smaller, more trivial than such a vast transformation inside your own mind while the world carries on, oblivious. Yet, nothing is more freeing, to accept your smallness in the world. How to live. 40 pieces of advice I feel to be helpful, but which I don't always follow. Number 1. Appreciate happiness when it is there. Number 2. Sip, don't gulp. Number 3. Be gentle with yourself. Work less, sleep more. Number 4. There is absolutely nothing in the past that you can change. That's basic physics. Number 5. Beware of Tuesdays and Octobers. Number 6. Kurt Vonnegut was right. Reading and writing are the most nourishing forms of meditation anyone has so far found. Number 7. Listen more than you talk. Number 8. Don't feel guilty about being idle. More harm is probably done to the world through work than idleness. But perfect your idleness. Make it mindful. Number 9. Be aware that you are breathing. Number 10. Wherever you are, at any moment, try and find something beautiful. A face, a line out of a poem, the clouds out of the window, some graffiti, a wind farm. Beauty cleans the mind. Number 11. Hate is a pointless emotion to have inside you. It is like eating a scorpion to punish it for stinging you. Number 12. Go for a run, then do some yoga. Number 13. Shower before noon. Number 14. Look at the sky. Remind yourself of the cosmos. Seek vastness at every opportunity in order to see the smallness of yourself. Number 15. Be kind. Number 16. Understand that thoughts are thoughts. If they are unreasonable, reason with them, even if you have no reason left. You are the observer of your mind, not its victim. Number 17. Do not watch TV aimlessly. Do not go on social media aimlessly. Always be aware of what you are doing and why you are doing it. Don't value TV less. Value it more. Then you will watch it less. Unchecked distractions will lead you to a distraction. Number 18. Sit down. Lie down. Be still. Do nothing. Observe. Listen to your mind. Let it do what it does without judging it. Let it go, like the Snow Queen from Frozen. Number 19. Don't worry about things that probably won't happen. Number 20. Look at trees. Be near trees. Plant trees. Trees are great. Number 21. Listen to that yoga instructor on YouTube and walk as if you are kissing the earth with your feet. Number 22. Live, love, let go, the 3 L's. Number 23. Alcohol math. Wine multiplies itself by itself. The more you have, the more you are likely to have. And if it's hard to stop at 1 glass, it will be impossible at 3. Addition is multiplication. Number 24. Beware of the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Simply thinking of the gap widens it, and you end up falling through. Number 25. Read a book without thinking about finishing it. Just read. Enjoy every word, sentence, and paragraph. Don't wish for it to end or for it to never end. Number 26. No drug in the universe will make you feel better, at the deepest level, than being kind to other people. Number 27. Listen to what Hamlet, literature's most famous depressive, told Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Number 28. If someone loves you, let them. Believe in that love. Live for them, even when you feel there is no point. Number 29. You don't need the world to understand you. It's fine. Some people will never really understand things they haven't experienced. Some will. Be grateful. Number 30. Jules Verne wrote of the living infinite, "This is the world of love and emotion that is like a sea. If we can submerge ourselves in it, we find infinity in ourselves, in the space we need to survive." Number 31. 3 in the morning is never the time to try and sort out your life. Number 32. Remember that there is nothing weird about you. You are just a human, and everything you do and feel is a natural thing, because we are natural animals. You are nature. You are a hominid ape. You are in the world, and the world is in you. Everything connects. Number 33. Don't believe in good or bad, or winning and losing, or victory and defeat, or up and down. At your lowest and at your highest, whether you are happy or despairing, or calm or angry, there is a kernel of you that stays the same. That is the you that matters. Number 34. Don't worry about the time you lose to despair. The time you will have afterward has just doubled its value. Number 35. Be transparent to yourself. Make a greenhouse for your mind. Observe. Number 36. Read Emily Dickinson. Read Graham Greene. Read Italo Calvino. Read Maya Angelou. Read anything you want. Just read. Books are possibilities. They are escape routes. They give you options when you have none. Each one can have a home for an uprooted mind. Number 37. If the sun is shining and you can be outside, be outside. Number 38. Remember that the key thing about life on Earth is change. Cars rust. Paper yellows. Technology dates. Caterpillars become butterflies. Nights morph into days. Depression lifts. Number 39. Just when you feel you have no time to relax, know that this is the moment you most need to make time to relax. Number 40. Be brave. Be strong. Breathe and keep going. You will thank yourself later. Things I have enjoyed since the time I thought I would never enjoy anything again. Sunrises, sunsets, the thousand suns and worlds that aren't ours but shine in the night sky. Books, cold beer, fresh air, dogs, horses, yellowing paperbacks, skin against skin at 1 a.m, long, deep, meaningful kisses, short, shallow, polite kisses, all kisses, cold swimming pools, oceans, seas, rivers, lakes, fjords, ponds, puddles, roaring fires, pub meals, sitting outside and eating olives, the lights fading in the cinema, with a bucket of warm popcorn in your lap, music, love, unabashed emotion, rock pools, swimming pools, peanut butter sandwiches, the scent of pine on a warm evening in Italy, drinking water after a long run, getting the all clear after a health scare, getting the phone call, Will Ferrell and Elf, talking to the person who knows me best, pigeon pose, picnics, boat rides, watching my son being born, catching my daughter in the water during her first 3 seconds, reading The Tiger Who Came to Tea, and doing the tiger's voice, talking politics with my parents, Roman holiday and a Roman holiday, talking heads, talking online about depression for the first time and getting a good response, Kanye West's first album, I know, country music, The Beach Boys, watching old soul singers on YouTube, lists, sitting on a bench in the park on a sunny day, meeting writers I love, foreign roads, rum cocktails, jumping up and down. They're publishing my book. Jesus Christ, they're publishing my book. Watching every Hitchcock movie. Cities twinkling at night as you drive past them, as if they are fallen constellations of stars. Laughing. Yes, laughing so hard it hurts. Laughing as you bend forward and as your abdomen actually starts to hurt from so much pleasure, so much release, and as you sit back and audibly groan and inhale deeply, staring at the person next to you, mopping up the joy. Reading a new Jeff Dyer book. Reading an old Graham Greene book. Running down hills. Christmas lights. Painting the walls of a new house. White wine. Dancing at 3 a.m. Vanilla fudge. Wasabi peas. My children's terrible jokes. Watching geese and goslings on the river. Reaching an age. 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, I never thought I'd reach. Talking to friends. Talking to strangers. Talking to you. Writing this book. Thank you. All right, everyone, that's the end of Reasons to Stay Alive. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much for listening.